Alright to YouTube, another one of Kip's clips. So I just want to continue to try and paint the mosaic that I'm getting, that you've got military build-up everywhere. You've now got the very possibility of a nuclear arms race starting again between the States and Russia. Anyway, so I've got lots of information here to present. The reason I wanted to do this was this was out today that Russia is now threatening to quit START as US deploys Aegis destroyer to Spain. Starts the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. Okay, so it might not be they're going to pull out of destroying what thousands of nuclear warheads they have left. And this is a result of yesterday. Chuck Hagel, he was in Poland, funnily enough, discussing missile defence systems, which is an injection of millions of pounds and nuclear weapons, obviously, and missile defence systems. Now, what else have Poland got going on at the moment? Well, people wouldn't associate Poland so much with what's happening in Ukraine. Poland and Ukraine have severe ties. They have borders which have changed. They have families which are families and stay either side of the border. It's been seen. Ukraine itself is very much divided against East versus West. Poland, obviously, major part of the EU, doesn't want Ukraine, for lots of reasons, to slip into come under more of Russia's influence. And now you have Hagel turning up, and he's talking about US ready to assist Poland with Indigenous missile defence system. Let's have a quick look. The US wants to partner with Poland and the Eastern European nations pursue its own missile defence system separate from the American system already planned for the region. As Poland explores its options for its own missile defence capabilities, there is an unmistakable opportunities for us to forge even closer cooperation in the area, leveraging cutting-edge technology and enhanced NATO capability. Defence security, Chuck Hagel said during a January 30th briefing at Poland's Defence Ministry alongside his Polish counterpart. This was in Defence News as well. This is the ship that the US destroyer Donald Cook shoved off from Norfolk, bound for Spain, where the Arleigh Burke class ship will become the first of 4 ballistic missile defence BMD capable ships to be based in Europe. Since that's been announced, Russia's came out against this and said that they are now threatening. Well, let's have a wee look at this. The US have deployed a ballistic missile defence destroyer to Spain to boost NATO's anti-missile shield in Europe. And the deployment of the Navy destroyer Donald Cook, equipped with, was announced by Chuck Hagel on Saturday. An important posture enhancement is European missile defence in response to ballistic missile threats from Iran, Hagel added. So again, using the Iran card. Adding that the US is committed to deploying missile defence architecture there as part of Phase 3 of the European Phased Active Approach EPAA. Now let's just have a quick look at what else is all happening here. So we've got the US sending ships and announcing further missile defences in Poland. You've got Chinese ships. They've implemented a no-flying zone. They're now sending ships there. There has been confrontations in and around there. One itchy trigger finger could spark war, which would technically mean China and America would be at war, as America has a mutual defence treaty with Japan. We've got the breakdown of these Geneva 2 talks. Another thing I was going to show you, just after the Geneva 2 talks get absolutely turned into a shambles by Iran getting sent home, turning up and just demanding the exact same thing that was demanded at the talks that were unsuccessful, the removal of Assad, no if buts or maybes. Russia then sent its most powerful, one of its flagship aircraft carriers into the Med, reaffirming its constant presence in the Mediterranean now. So you've also got the build-up of military warfare in and around the South China Sea. But of course, the Filipino hurricane that happened, we sent 1,000,001 warships there, not to try and keep the reins on China in that region. It wasn't a threat to China to move all that military hardware just in its back door. It was there to give the Filipinos love bombs and blankets. Of course, we sent in all that military hardware right into China's next door in a response to that hurricane. For humanitarian reasons, we sent all those warships right off the coast of China. It isn't threatening them. The US last year or the year before announcing further build-up bases in Australia as well. I'm trying to paint you a picture here, which if you go and look in history, World War I, World War II, and even like further back into large confrontations, because there wasn't a world war until it sounded cool. But anyway, you'll see similarities, unbelievably so. It's not only me that's saying it; it's people saying it about Chinese and the China-Japan relationship as well. You've got the Israeli-American relationship, strained like never before. You've got Israel now accusing Turkey of having Al-Qaeda bases in Turkey, which doesn't make sense on so many levels. Then you've got reports coming out from Al Jazeera of Turkey. Sorry, I'm going to have to take this. Hello. How you doing? Sorry about that, I had to take a call. So you've got the Israeli, where was it? I was talking about the out of Al Jazeera, the reports that Turkey attacked Al-Qaeda, the ISIS or ISIL, whatever you want to call them, inside Syria, northern Syria, for retaliation of skirmishes at the border. You've got the emergence of the very strong possibility of civil war, and let's see what countries are first popping up with this. Turkey and Ukraine could be arguably a civil war. It looks very much like a war to me, but who am I to debate what the BBC, what reality the BBC creates for me? The BBC will tell me if it's a civil war or not. The newspapers will tell me if it's a civil war or not. I mean, my eyes looking at that place and seeing that people are digging trenches and fucking taking over buildings and all that won't allow me to come to the conclusion that there's civil war in that country, stirred up by the two different power struggles that I would argue that are going on in a world war struggle at the moment. Probably, I would argue, created in and around the inception of the BRICS, which then put the petrodollar monopoly under threat. There is China's setting up exchanges for gold, for oil, etc. People are moving away from the petrodollar monopoly. America cannot let that happen. If the petrodollar monopoly disappears, the American scam is gone. So America's going to defend that petrodollar monopoly with everything, because it's got everything to lose. Because at the moment it's got a worldwide monopoly. Anybody wants to trade anything, I'm sure the vast majority of you will all know how it works with the petrodollar. So you've got the BRICS, which have set up direct currency swaps, trading, what do you call them, treaties and so on and so forth, that do not require the petrodollar. I do not. Well, I've already said, watch for the absolute demonisation of countries that are in the BRICS and alliances and are in alliance with the BRICS. Now, when I say demonisation of these countries, I do not mean you have to tell lies about them. What I mean is you will find an abnormal amount of stories coming out from, let me see, India, rape and stuff that were coming out of there. Brazil, oh, there's protests kicking off because they're having a World Cup there. Russia, oh, they're anti-gay, even though there is the law that everybody's talking about doesn't use the word gay or homosexual. It uses the word alternative lifestyles, and it's about teaching that to children under the age of 12. You could argue whether that law is retarded or not, but it's no worse or no better than existing gay laws in the UK, America. That's a demonisation. This is what I mean. South Africa, you had the Nelson Mandela thing, and a lot of stories coming about the bad side of Nelson Mandela and his party, so on and so forth. So you can see the absolute the lines that have been drawn. You'll see a lot more stories coming out from especially Latin American countries, excluding the ones that are under American influence so far, probably. I've been saying this for ages. I keep see the whole propagation of all these stories, and I don't know, just trying to join the dots so you can actually see where I'm coming from. There is, I would argue, if a foreign country tries to kick off civil unrest or tries to kick off civil war in that country, although the BBC won't tell me, although the newspapers don't tell me thinking for myself, I would say that's an act of war. It's an act of war. So you could argue, did Russia, did China have influences in the Occupy movement? Who was usurping the Occupy movement? Where's all the funding coming and for all these all the anti-fracking stuff? The Gazprom Greenpeace thing, I believe it's already started. I don't think the common struggle, the struggle that's already coming, I don't think it will turn hot in the sense that you'll get countries technically going to war with each other. It will be a lot more small skirmishes that will be. The BBC will tell you is Al Qaeda fighting this group, that group. Everybody, you'll be told, and everybody will believe it's Al Shabaab, Al Qaeda, Al ISIL, ISS, Pro Evolution Soccer, all these different groups that keep popping up. That's what everybody will be fed. But ultimately, it's a power struggle on the ground, in and around a lot of pipelines coming out of Russia. The Gulf states and the Middle East, compile that with the possibility of a lot of countries becoming self-sufficient in gas if they get the fracking off the go. So there's such a change in geopolitical power going on right now. The emergence of the BRICS, the BRICS economies that are overtaking the old economies, it's setting up a whole new chessboard for the future. And what I believe you see happening right now is the start of the war to consolidate territory resources for the corporations that are the head of the corporations, the competing corporations for the resources of the world. You've got Thailand, you've got, again, I understand in these countries there are lots of problems, and I just see when you see people with guns pouring petrol on folk. Call me sceptical, I see a lot of outside influences in these countries, agent provocateurs from all angles trying to start up civil unrest in these countries, civil disobedience in these countries. Because the last country standing might be the most united country, remember that. So if your country's getting fucking torn to shreds from the inside out right now, think about that one as well. I'm running out of time, so thumbs it up, leave all your comments below. Thanks for listening. Catchies.